A non-government organization is on a mission to help provide access to safe water and sanitation. Joining us live in the studio is Better with Water Philippines President Dondi Alikpala. Magandang umaga. Thank you very much for joining us this beautiful day.
Good morning, Paulo. Thanks for having me.
Sir Dondi, first of all, you are on a mission to provide sustainable water, clean water, affordable water. And when you talk about water security here in the Philippines in particular, what does your organization focus on the most?
So Better with Water Philippines is an NGO. It's primarily French funded. And their mission is to provide water for those who need it most. These are mostly informal settlements. So we're focused on informal settlements in urban areas. Most of the Filipinos have moved to urban areas. And these are the people, unfortunately, who don't get the services that they need. So right now, the Filipinos who don't have access to water actually pay more for water than those who live in expensive subdivisions. So we're here to balance that imbalance.
To make the cost cheaper for sure. You look at the problem, the actual problem we have, especially in urban areas. Can you give us an idea of the scale of the gap between the demand and, of course, the accessibility to clean water?
Right. So nationwide, only 54% of Filipinos have household connection. Let's just talk about household connections.
Okay.
Right? Outside of household connections, you have to line up for water or you have to go to a nearest source or a well, right? So let's just talk about household connections, because with household connections, women can bathe in private. You know, all these things that come with it. You're more productive and you don't have to wake up at night to line up. So only 54%, and about more than 90% is actually NCR. The rest of the country, outside of Region 4A, are actually below 50%. So there's such a huge gap in that respect. And many of the reasons are water resources are becoming a severe problem. Financing is a big issue, financing and funding. Political will is sometimes not present. Poor management and poor leadership in many areas. So we're trying to make an impact, first where we feel it'll have the most impact, and that's the urban poor. We're not looking to change the country. We're looking to see where we can make a big difference, and that's these small communities. So we're in 3 provinces, in Cavite, in Leyte, right now in Cebu. We're looking to expand. We have 25 projects, and we have almost 9,000 connections, which means we're connecting about almost 40,000 people already. And but we still have certainly a long way to go.
Yeah, there's a big gap. You mentioned it a while ago. Just looking at the percentage, I know 40,000 is barely a drop in the bucket. But when you look at the type of projects that you are doing, can you give us an idea of what those are?
Well, this is unique. So we recognize that in many instances, the urban poor are unable, for example, to pay a monthly bill. Because sometimes they're hand to mouth, right?
Yes.
There's some weeks they just don't have the income, and it's hard for them to save the money to pay that monthly bill. So our model is unique in the sense that while other utilities have a monthly payment, we have local leaders that might collect it on a weekly basis. And on top of that, we also recognize that in the poor areas where you sometimes see a lot of fires, we have fire services. So we actually have fire hydrants in these informal settlements, but we also couple it with a lot of hygiene education programs.
I was looking at some of your work, and obviously you also work with other NGOs. You also work with Manila. I'm sure you also have to work with government. Could you give us a look at the complexity of the network that is required to actually reach these people? Because I could only imagine the type of hoops that you have to jump around in terms of infrastructure.
Where do I begin? We can begin, but we don't know when we'll end. So one of the things first is we want to partner with the local government. We want to partner with the existing utility. But for many of them, this is the last mile, the areas that they have difficulty reaching because of the complexity of how these informal settlements are arranged, right? And so what usually happens outside Metro Manila, where the coverage is actually in most LGUs 40%, 30%, only. They just put standalone faucets, so let the people go to the faucet. But that's not going to do it. That's not enough. So we have a system that will allow each household to actually have their own tap in each house. And it's a game changer. But we need to work with so many government agencies, environmental issues, National Water Resources Board, LGUs. And of course, we want to partner. We don't want to come across as competitors with water utilities. We're here to partner with water utilities. We're here to help them meet their indicators in terms of access for SDG 6.
Yes, so SDG 6, I was going to be smart and lead that in next, but then you called it. SDG 6, obviously Sustainable Development Goal 6 as part of the UN Development Goal Program. One of the goals is that by 2030, it would have addressed a majority, if not all, of the accessibility problems of clean water.
Right.
I think it's safe to say we're not going to get there by 2030. I don't know, where are we when it comes to that, especially when looking at the Philippines?
Well, like I said, 54%, right?
Yeah.
So I was part of a study that we conducted sometime in 2019, and the numbers haven't changed much since 2019. And even then, we recognized we'll need about 1 trillion pesos.
1 trillion, okay.
To hit 2030. It's not 2025. So on average, at the time of about 100 billion, the government was spending 3 billion. A far cry. So there's a really big role for the NGO sector, for civil society, and private sector to pitch in and help hit those targets. Now, Paulo, we keep talking about water.
Yeah.
We can't forget the role of sanitation also.
Of course, yes.
So that's something that's we're probably worse off in that situation. So in some areas, they define sanitation as having a toilet, but we have to go beyond that. We have to treat the wastewater, and I think I'll be on the high side if I say that 20% of the water treated if all the wastewater in the Philippines is treated, 20% is actually on the high side.
What are the issues, or rather, what are the hurdles when it comes to providing better sanitation, better water treatment? Because we talked about accessibility a while ago.
Yeah.
What are the remedies, at least, that can be pursued when it comes to the sanitation aspect of it?
Okay, first let's talk about water supply. Some areas are in severe, actually absolute scarcity already. That means there's less than 500 cubic meters per capita per year. These are NCR. NCR actually doesn't have a water source. We have to buy from Bulacan, which is Region 3, or get from Laguna Lake. 4A is absolute scarcity, and unfortunately, that's where the focus of our economic industries are. Region 7, also where you see Cebu.
Yes.
And that's the areas, the growth areas. And that's also where the people are. So you have water divided by the number of people, so you get per capita, and it just keeps declining every year. We now have to change our mindset that water, we can't take water for granted, one. We need to start looking at reuse and recycle and recharging our water systems. We have to look at desalination, getting water from the sea. On sanitation, first we have to get LGUs to put in wastewater treatment. Most LGUs don't even have wastewater treatment. Then we have to get people to understand that they have to pay for the service.
Yeah.
That their waste goes somewhere, and it's impacting the environment, it's impacting tourism, it's impacting health in many areas.
You're fighting a good fight, but it's a very long fight. And considering the numbers that you mentioned a while ago, we have a long way to go. For those who want to reach out to you, partner with you, how can they reach you? How can they find you?
Well, they're Better with Water Philippines has a website. They can go there. They can find me on Facebook also. They can reach out to me directly there. And they can... Better with Water has also a Facebook page. They can go to that site.
All right, perfect. Well, we saw that flashed on screen a while ago, and hopefully, if you are interested, do reach out to Sir Dondi, and let's see what we could do when it comes to water and sanitation here in the country. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for joining us.
Salamat.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
That was Dondi Alikpala of Better Water Philippines.